Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News, Wednesday, April 24, 2024. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Minister of Education Curtis King says that his ministry is addressing the issue of the flea infestation at the Thomas Saunders Secondary School as well as at the Girls High School. On radio today, Minister King said that stray dogs continue to roam the area, and despite efforts to get rid of the fleas, the problem continues, which forced the closure of the schools yesterday and today.
Once the school reported, we responded immediately. Now, of course, we do treatment ever so often, especially once schools are closed. And I come back to the word like, remember I mentioned that. Yeah, I'll come back to that. But I'm saying in this case, with the fleas, and they are related to the dogs, okay? And we had done a series of things to mitigate against that. But boy, sometimes, despite your good efforts, challenge persists. So you have to now find other solutions. Because I remember in the case of the Girls High School, in the initial stage, the people from the public health department went in, sprayed and so on. We put in mesh wires to ensure that the dogs would not be able to go. And then we took precaution by moving to the St. Vincent Grammar School, who didn't report any issue, however, to do the same as well as treat.
The Education Minister said, based on advice from the Ministry of Health, thorough cleaning will again be done on the buildings.
Similarly, this time around, the Girls High School did not report a challenge, although when the Ministry of Health went in, the Public Health Department, they discovered that, look, even though it might not have been as bad as it was at Thomas Saunders, ultimately, from what they're seeing at the Girls High School, you're going to have a similar problem. So the ministry had to take the decision to close the schools yesterday afternoon and have the people go in and do what they know they are the expert in that area, do what they have to do. And hence it would have been impossible, given the chemicals used, for there to be face-to-face delivery of education at those campuses, both Thomas Saunders and
Minister King said that it is only face-to-face teaching that will be affected, as systems are in place for online teaching to be done, stressing that the St. Vincent and Grenadines Teachers Union should be encouraging teachers to use the online platform.
My colleagues, and I say my colleagues because you know I'm a teacher and I always will be a teacher. And I always make the point that I'm a product also of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Teachers Union. And sometimes I appeal to my president, always move beyond the obvious. And sometimes inspire and encourage your teachers whenever you get an opportunity to use the online system. Because I heard a presentation, I didn't hear one thing about the online system. And we have to ensure that there's continuity in the delivery of our education when we are faced with these challenges.
Minister King said that he will await word from the Ministry of Health to confirm if students can return to school tomorrow or on Friday. And President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, says while the ministry is resorting to online teaching for the two schools affected by flea infestation, there are many issues that need to be looked into. Robinson said he was reliably informed that students will now have to return to school next week, Monday, which will allow for proper cleaning of the schools to rid the fleas, hence online teaching. But he lamented of the many problems teachers will have to deal with.
As it stands now, many of the students, their devices are not working. The internet reliability is a serious problem. You're in the height of a lesson online and the internet goes. The government would have promised broadband internet. And if that is not in place, then we are back to square one. It means that to be teaching online and to do it in an effective manner, the students must have their compatible devices. Similarly to teachers, and the internet must be reliable. The other thing is that many of these students, you can't just leave them at home unsupervised, especially if the parents are working. So we have to put all these things into the mix and encourage the Ministry of Education to go back to the drawing board, ensure that all the teachers have compatible devices to use the relevant and the appropriate platforms to reach the students in instances where schools have to be closed temporarily.
Robinson added that the SVG-TU has been calling for repairs to be done to the students' devices, which needs repairs.
We need to also pay attention to the reprographic unit in the Ministry of Education. The workers there do not have the basic parts to repair these laptops and tablets when they malfunction and they need repairing. So we need to pay attention to all of these. So just making a statement and telling teachers, engage the students online. I mean, it's a lot of these cell phones appearance. A lot of times the schools have to reach the students. And if you have 2-3 students and you have one cell phone in your home that is working, and the parent had to go to work, how are you going to have any kind of meaningful online teaching? Those are questions that the authorities need to answer.
The SVG-TU president maintains that the Ministry of Education failed to properly sanitize the schools before opening for the new school term.
If the government, and by extension the Ministry of Education, that is responsible for the upkeep of schools, if they had done their homework over the Easter break, we would have been better able to mitigate the infestation of fleas at the Girls High School and the Thomas Sanders Secondary School. But it means that nothing was done. Nothing was done. If anything had been done, then we would not have having this going into the second week, the reopening of the school term, the third term, you have fleas, infestation of fleas. So the authorities need to do a proper job and do it, and don't make excuses at this time.
The Lands and Surveyors Department, private and government surveyors will play an integral role in the implementation of a digital single window for land and property transactions here in SVG under the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, the CARD-TP. This is according to Land Management Officer with the Lands and Surveyors Department, Collis Murray, who was addressing the opening ceremony of a 3-day workshop yesterday at the French's House. The workshop, which concludes tomorrow, seeks to develop functional requirements and specifications for the implementation of the Integrated Geospatial Information Framework, the National Spatial Data Infrastructure, a parcel-based land information system, and the electronic single window for land and property transactions. Murray says through the digital single window for lands and property transactions project, there are several objectives.
Firstly, is the production of a new base map. If you recall, I said the previous one was done in 2007 through the NALEM project. And between 2007 and now, that is well over 10, 15, 20 years. Almost 20 years, sorry. Much has been done in St. Vincent, infrastructural-wise, so many features are not being captured by that imagery. We are in discussion, well, I should say discussion, basically all confirmation with a non-profit organization called PLACE, to carry out new imagery for St. Vincent, which will be done shortly. The Memorandum of Understanding, as I assume, was approved by Cabinet, with a few adjustments need to be made. So within the next month or two, once the logistical items are cleared up, this should be in the country to start. We were hoping to have them here for this workshop, but it did not work out. Secondly, we'll have what we call a geodetic network adjustment. It sounds a bit complicated, but what it is, each country has what we call a reference, a geographic reference. In St. Vincent, we use what we call the British West Indies Grid 45, but internationally, global one is WGS 84. So when you go on, for example, on Google Maps, and you try to input our image on Google Maps, because of a different reference system, they do not fit. So you may find Kingston fitting maybe somewhere in Stubbs, etc. So one of the aims of the project is what we call a geodetic network adjustment, in that we try and create the parameters where both systems can speak to each other. We tried it before, but it did not work out as well as we wanted it to. So it is our hope with this project that that will be done. We are at the stage of preparing the TRR for consultancy to carry out this project. The next phase will be also be parcel-based cadastral, as mentioned by the Prime Minister. It is our hope that all parcels in St. Vincent will be digitized. It's a process what we call adjudication. It can be done systematically in that we dictate where we go to in a special format, or sporadically where we just go from here, there, but we're hoping to do it systematically. We're hoping to use one specific area as a pilot and then move on from that.
To aid with the project, Murray thanked the project team for supplying the Land and Surveys Department with new equipment, including GPS equipment, which he said will expedite the process.
The aim is that we're not just going on to people's place and just start surveying randomly. We're going to use existing features such as fences, jargon, which were used to define boundaries. And as individuals survey their individual lots, that information will be updated with our system to reflect that. But this is just to get a start. Next, they what we call a National Spatial Data Infrastructure. This is a difficult one. Through NALIMP, it was the intention that all departments freely share information. We're having a major issue with this at this point, in that some departments are holding on to data as if it's their personal data and refusing to share it. So we're hoping with this data infrastructure that new protocols will be established and it will become law, making it mandatory for departments to share information. Of course, we're aware that some information will be very private and sensitive, and we will honor that, in that the sharing will ensure that the information shared are general information. Private personal information will not be shared. So I need us to remember that. At the end of this all, we're going to develop what is called a single window, in that we have a new software in which all this information will be fed in, and it becomes what we call a one-stop shop. One of the difficulties with this is that currently our deed system is basically by meets and bounds. Say land is bounded with James here, Jim John, who may have passed away several years. So there's nothing to physically tie that deed to a specific piece of land. So hopefully when this survey is done, that will solve that problem, what we call a registration by title. Another issue we have is what we call a PID, in that the survey plans are given a unique number. Deeds are given a unique number, and there's nothing that can tie both of them together. So with this single window, we're hoping that some method will be used in that we come up with a completely new number that can link both systems.
Delivering the feature address at the workshop's opening ceremony was Minister with responsibility for lands Montgomery Daniel, who said land is a limited resource that is in high demand, therefore land management is critical.
So that we have a resource to manage both for ourselves and for the unborn generation. So, as stewards, we have to try and do our best in this regard. Understanding that land is finite, we have to try and take pride and joy in using this great resource for the greater good of all of us. In our society today, the demand for land is extremely high. And in our interaction with and for land use, this is indeed crucial for our survival here on this earth. We have to provide for infrastructural development. We have to provide for our housing needs. We have to provide for food, which involves agriculture, production of crops and livestock, and we have to also provide for recreation. All these are competing issues for land and the scarce land that we do have for our own development. And so, while it is important to understand that land is very important to our own humanization, it is also important to note that access to land is also very important.
Mr. Daniel also noted that successive administrations have tried to maintain the best possible management systems for lands to aid in land management and its control, but despite their best efforts, there continue to be tremendous problems in land management.
Because coming out of the estate system, coming out of the plantation system, of course, under the plantation system, there were fewer farms. But with the advent of and coming out of the estate system, of course, there would have been tremendous multiplicity of small farms. And many of these farms that were cut into, on average, 5 to 6 acres, are now growing smaller and smaller, year by year, month by month, day by day. Because what is happening is that our children and grandchildren continue to divide and to dissect the land area for their own use. And in so doing, each parcel of land then becomes its own property. So while you have that on farm lands equally, even on housing lots, we also see not only one house, but sometimes 2 houses or 3 houses. Again, each of them become their own property. And so, it is much more work for the Land and Surveys Department to be surveying and maintaining boundaries to satisfy the need of those who are occupying those properties.
The single window for land and property transactions is one of the major components of the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, which promises to revolutionize the way government services are delivered and accessed by citizens and businesses in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The CAR-TP, which is being implemented throughout the Windward Islands, is being implemented here in SVG through a loan from the World Bank valued at $30 million. Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday has expressed his concern over what he called an economic failure by the government of SVG. Speaking on his party's New Times radio program on Monday, Dr. Friday says the economic failure is evident in the agriculture sector as many farmers are feeling the impact.
The most important failure, or the most significant failure of this government, is its failure to deliver economically for the people, economic progress for the country. The ULP government has not built a viable economy in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In fact, it has declined under this present government. Agriculture has declined. Fishing, which has such tremendous potential, is still a minuscule component of what it should be. it really is a disgrace that you would have a government. They've been there, they say for 23 years, and all they're boasting is about the length of time that they've been there, rather than demonstrating the accomplishments they've made.
Dr. Friday says while infrastructural development have taken place, the standard of living of many Vincentians remains questionable.
Yes, they have built the airport. That is an infrastructural project that really, is the basis for which you can start developing the economy. But what have they done with it since it has been open? They have been limping along without any real plan to accelerate the development of the country. People don't have, unlimited time. We want to see, when people are voting for a government, they want to see within the lifetime of that government that their life improves. That this is not some long-term project of 200 years or whatever. You want to see that during the time that you are in government, you vote for a government, the life of which is constitutionally 5 years. The idea is that during that time frame, your circumstances will improve. That's why you vote for them.
On the 72 hours weather outlook now, the SVG Met Service says the concentration of the Saharan dust layer continues to vary across all islands. However, significant thinning of the concentrations can be expected during tonight as moisture levels increase across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with scattered showers continuing Thursday. Shower activity could, however, decrease Thursday night, with a few showers lingering across SVG on Friday. Gentle to moderate breeze occasionally increase across our islands, and directions varied between northeast and east-southeast. Sea conditions are slight to moderate in open water, with swells ranging from 0.5 to 1.0 meters west of our islands and 1.0 meters to 1.8 meters east of our islands. Small craft operators are asked to continue to exercise caution for reduced visibility, very poor in dust haze. Saharan dust concentrations thin out to slight haze during Thursday. News now. SVG-TV News understands that there was a shooting incident in Morris Village this evening in which one man was reportedly killed. We will bring you more on this story as further information comes to hand. And the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force says it is currently investigating the circumstances surrounding the discovery of a body found earlier this morning on a beach in La Pompe, Beckway. The deceased has been identified as a 71-year-old female from Harmony Hall. According to the police, they received a report of the deceased at approximately 6:10 a.m. today. Preliminary information indicates that the deceased was staying at a nearby apartment and was last seen on the beach around 6 p.m. yesterday evening. A post-mortem examination is expected to be conducted soon on the body to determine the cause of death. The RSPF says it is diligently continuing this investigation and asks anyone with information to contact the police emergency at 999 or 911, the Port Elizabeth Police Station, a telephone number 784-458-3350, or the Criminal Investigations Department at telephone number 1784-456-1810. During this challenging time, the RSVG Police Force says it expresses deepest sympathies to the family of the deceased. No one is above the law. An offender is an offender, regardless of one's status or portfolio. This is according to head of the Sexual Offences Unit of the RSVG Police Force, Assistant Superintendent Nigel Butcher, who was asked on SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last Sunday about how they handle cases of sexual offences involving law enforcement personnel.
So the report comes to us, we deal with you on a professional and a fair and balanced manner, in a just manner. Whether you're police, whether you're lawyer, whether you're the ordinary man on the road, that's our approach. So we have dealt with matters involving police officers before. We have arrested and charged police officers who have gone to court. So we strike a balance, and we deal with the reports as they come to us, all right, regardless to your status, who you are.
Okay.
So that is my answer to the question.
As counsel said, offender is an offender, right, counsel?
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely.
Sexual offences against children is a major concern for head of the Sexual Offences Unit. ASP Butcher provided some statistics which the unit recorded in 2023. The numbers include 12 sexual offences involving children between the age group 1 to 8.
So those pedophiles unconscionable.
1 and 8.
What is men out there who saw it fit to sexually violate 12 children between the ages of 1 and 8. And I see why you're asking the question of why the life sentence is not being imposed.
Yeah, because you interfere 1 year old, you should be going to prison for life. Seriously, I don't care what the mitigating circumstances are, counsel. You should be going to prison for life.
Between 9 and 12, we had 51. See the age group, 51 persons were sexually violated in 2023. Between 13 and 15, we had 47. So we have a problem among the young youths, the young age. Hence, I strongly support the increase in the age of consent. 16 and 19, we had 36. 20 to 40, we had 70. And then above that age group, we had none. But the point I'm making here, we have to keep targeting the young minds. They are the vulnerable ones. They are the ones who are being, the pedophiles, the perpetrators are targeting. That's why the family structure, and it starts at home. The parents have to play their role to educate the children, tell them of the dangers out there, be observant, look at the behavioral pattern, and protect these children. They have an obligation, they have a responsibility, and they have the most important role to play in these children's lives.
Yeah. The
rest of society, the police have the role to play, but we don't want to get to the stage when it gets to the police, when you can, as a preventative measure, you can deal with the problem at home.
Lawyer Roderick Jones, who was also on the program, said to address the problem of sexual violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines seriously, attention must be paid to the pillars of society, starting with the family.
We have to spend a lot of time ensuring that we give the requisite sexual education to our young girls. It doesn't stop there though, because the perpetrators, in many instances, are males. So the focus has to be equally on the boys as it is on the girls. We have to, in our schools, ensure that the curriculum is of such that we have some devoted time for educating our children in these areas. I know in most schools they have a family life session. As to how far that goes, I am not sure. But the school has a responsibility to play. The society has a responsibility to play. We have people who are in positions of authority. Whether you like it or not, you're role models, people look up to you. We have to collectively play our respective roles in ensuring that we guide and educate and nurture our young, because this is a problem that affects all of us. If we don't fix this problem of sexual violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, then it's going to pass on to other generations, and like a cancer, it's just going to fester and get worse.
It's been festering for a while.
It has been.
It's an old and deep-rooted problem in this country.
And the police have arrested and charged Anonija Kane, a 34-year-old farmer of Langley Park, for unlawfully discharging a firearm. The accused allegedly unlawfully discharged a firearm at a 21-year-old farmer of New Chapman's by pointing and discharging same at him. The offense was committed at Dixon Village about 8 a.m. on Monday, April 22, 2024. Kane appeared before the Serious Offences Court and pleaded not guilty. He was granted bail in the sum of 10,000 EC dollars with one surety. He was also ordered to report at the Georgetown police station every Monday between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and the matter was adjourned to the 3rd of June 2024. And lawyer and politician Luke Brown says all forms of violence must be stamped out from the Vincentian society, declaring that violence is unacceptable in any society. Brown was on the ULP Speaks program discussing a number of topics.
Things that we need to stamp out. I also just would like to convey my regards to the family of a good friend of mine and comrade from the community of Rockies, Alice, who was violently attacked recently on her way to work. And we must stamp out all forms of violence in this country. We must stamp out violence against women and violence in general, because it is unbecoming of us as a society, and we want to make sure that conflict resolution in a peaceful manner is a hallmark of Vincentian citizenship and is a hallmark of our way of life. And I don't doubt that we are going to be able to be successful in this matter if we work together as a nation, if we work together in unity. Remember, our name, the name of our party, is not an idle name. If we work together in unity, we will be able to make progress against that.
On the issue of predial larceny, Brown is encouraging farmers to register for their farmers' identification card in order to take advantage of membership benefits with the Farmer Support Company.
We have a modern agricultural sector by which we provide agricultural produce and we provide manufactured goods for different clients or customers or entities within the economy to good effect, and we provide proper support for our farmers as well. I think that I've just read about the fact that there's going to be a decentralization of the issuance of farmer ID cards, and I think that is an important note to be sent out to all farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including farmers who may not be registered and who may therefore not have an ID card. Please go out and get your ID cards in order so that you could have the benefits of your card, your membership in the farmer support group, and also to assist in clamping down on undesirable activities within the agricultural sector. Because when we have that system in place, then it becomes more difficult for predial larceny to have space to operate in our country. And I've seen some reports in the media as well about really unfortunate incidents which have taken place in recent times that have to do with what I would describe as the vandalism of farms, and I want us to stamp that out.
The Simon Bolivar school vessel from Venezuela is expected to be here in SVG from tomorrow, Thursday, April 25th to Sunday, April 29th, 2024 for an official visit. A news release from the Venezuelan embassy says in Port Kingstown there will be an official welcome ceremony tomorrow at 9 a.m. The Venezuelan embassy says on Friday, April 26th, on Saturday, April 27th and Sunday, April 28th, all Vincentians and international citizens are invited to visit the Simon Bolivar school vessel. The Simon Bolivar school vessel is a trading vessel for the Navy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, which trains cadets and future officers of the Venezuelan Navy and projects the image of Venezuela in all ports of visit. The ship is named after Simon Bolivar, the liberator of the Bolivia, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Panama, and Venezuela. The vessel is expected to open to the public on Thursday, April 25th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Friday, the 26th from Saturday, the 27th, and Sunday, the 28th from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon and from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.